Right.
Yeah,
So there you go.
it's pretty obvious why that's my favorite number.
What's that?
It should be pretty obvious why that's my favorite number.
Well,
Third and second baseman that played for the Phillies.
we're yeah.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go?
We are ready
Try.
to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
hello,
yeah,
boys and girls. It's when we feel like 8 o'clock. I'm Pearl of Wisdom, and you're listening to my NHL Pearls of Wisdom on the Pearl of Wisdom Show. Monday morning edition, weekend review edition. We're going to go over all the things that happened in the weekend, including, of course, Rutherford stepping down from the Pittsburgh Penguins, D'Angelo stepping in something, and Draisaitl having
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, having an insane night against the Ottawa Senators, and much, much more. We'll go over some of the games. We'll talk about Flyer, some of our favorite games of the weekend, and how it all went down. And we're going to do that with Steel and Pro Joe, the Professor Joe Bork, coming into this live. We're trying it with three people for the first time. It's a first timer here
with
at Pearl
lots of
Wisdom Industries.
technical headaches to start.
Yeah,
So
that's
to
a
Yeah,
good way
speak.
to put it.
Yeah.
Technical headaches. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good way to put it.
yeah. The YouTube has stepped in the same thing D'Angelo did apparently. Uh,
I think D'Angelo runs YouTube.
Yeah.
exactly. All right, so we better get on this now. Uh, Going to the weekend, I got to bring up all my stuff here. Going to the weekend, first, I'm going to talk. I guess we might as well get right off the top because it was just such a weird notification when we got uh, Rutherford stepping down in Pittsburgh. You guys are in Pennsylvania now where the snow is abundant, right?
Yep. Hockey weather for a hockey podcast.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
yeah, might as well put it that way.
Except for you probably couldn't even play. They would be plowing the ice every 5 seconds with this crap. Like the way that this storm is, if you tried to play a Winter Classic and it would be like, all right, bring the plow back out. Everyone get off the ice.
Yeah,
Get out of my way. And it would be like every 5 to 6 minutes you would have to plow the ice.
Like I can't even see across the street. That's how bad it is.
wow, that's
So yeah, it's snowing really, really hard.
yeah, that's
Yep.
yeah. We have that occasionally here. We're more cold than we are snow, but I don't like those days too much. Stay in the house and listen to this fine programming. I would say, right?
There
uh,
you go. That's the best way to do it, man. We got lots of great NHL hockey to talk about, man.
yeah,
We got all kinds of fun stuff to get into.
right. So now, when you heard this news of Rutherford stepping down, I want to say this. Let's just use our own mind. This isn't rumors necessarily. What's the first thing you thought when you heard Rutherford stepping down from the position? I'll go either one of you, or whoever chimed in first.
You got it first, deal if you want.
I was a little bit taken aback, especially when he came out and said that it was for personal reasons.
Yes.
Now, I'm this is kind of the kind of person that I am, and so this may be good or may be bad, and so you might have to just I don't know, but if somebody's going to tell me that there's stuff going on and it's none of my business, and that's exactly that, it's none of my business,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going on with Rutherford right now. If he wants to step away, whenever he wants to step away, that's his prerogative. He is a Hall of Fame general manager. He's put Stanley Cup there in Pittsburgh. He's done a lot of good things. He has nothing to be ashamed of, and if he needs to step away from the game, then he needs to step away from the game.
Yeah.
Now, as somebody that's looking at it from, media eyes, or, something along that's definitely it's a head scratcher, because why would you do that? We're barely 10 games into the season, and, it just sends up a lot of red flags as far as why that happened if you don't know the real reasons. And so we don't know the real reasons, so everything that we can think of right now is just speculation.
Yeah.
I hope that everything goes really well with him. I hope that, his personal issues or reasons are resolved and things of that nature. And if maybe he wants to, continue to general manage somewhere down the road, that he can do that. But it's obviously not going to be in Pittsburgh no more.
Yeah. What about you, Joe? What did you think?
Well, Rutherford, if I'm not mistaken, is 72 years old, so it's not like
Yeah.
he's a spring chicken anymore. So I think he's kind of done his time, and he realized. I think it's more. I honestly have a feeling his personal reason is probably just family, because he was working remotely this whole time through COVID. There was an article about that. He was at home doing his general manager duties, so he was around his family all the time. So if you're around your family all the time when you're already at retirement age, you're going to probably start getting the inner workings of your brain going. You know what? I might enjoy this more than I enjoy doing all this chutzpah anymore. I've accomplished everything I can. We're not going to win another cup with the way this team is right now. Let me. I don't want to be part of a rebuild. I'm 72 years old. So let me go be with my family and just enjoy family time and retirement. I honestly think it was just as simple as that. Part of it could be disagreements with how they wanted to manage the team, but I feel like he was already probably thinking this was his last year. And then if that was the case, then he probably just said, okay, you're not going to give me power anyway, so adios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I like that. I like that idea. I like that thought process. You know what I mean?
This is
Yeah, I think the only way to stay through the year is if they gave him full trading power. If it was
Yeah.
like you have full reigns over the franchise, whoever you want to trade, I don't care if it's Crosby, I don't care if it's Malkin or Letang, you can revamp the entire franchise. But you knew they weren't going to do that. So
Right. Right.
I this is like yeah, I'm just speculating here. It seems to me that I mean there could have been a lot of things that happened, but it seems to me that the writing was sort of on the wall there, and that he probably wasn't going to be the one to rebuild this team. The initial idea was they were going to go for it, and then maybe something different was starting to creep up, and it doesn't make sense for a guy like Rutherford to rebuild. So, why would he stick around for all the reasons Joe said? There's, he's not going to probably be the person to rebuild that team. I know one thing. We'll know a lot more about whether that's the case on depending on who the new general manager is going to be. And right now, the there's arrows pointing to Hextall. And you guys know as well
yeah,
as I do, if Hextall is the one that they're selecting, we know which direction they're going, right?
yep,
Yeah, for sure. That would definitely be a huge indication that it's going to be rebuild time.
yeah, agreed. I think that would be, which is funny, because you would think if Rutherford did want to trade people and that was part of the disconnect, they would have just let him do it instead of bringing in Ron Hextall to do the same exact thing. But
Yeah.
I guess because Hextall is younger, you would want to move forward with him. You know he's going to be around the whole time. Maybe that's part of it. But it is just weird how business played out like that sometimes. I mean, I think Hextall would work for Pittsburgh. Is the same way he worked for us because they're aging out a little bit. They want to revamp the farm system and keep the team somewhat competitive, which is kind of like we were a mediocre competitive team when we would still compete, but would not be great, but still compete and also have a budding farm system. I think that's how you have to do it in Pittsburgh because yes, they have good fans. The key is they have good fans when they're winning. Pittsburgh is not a city if you start losing for a couple years in a row is going to still show up. We've seen it in the past. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh fans, but it's the truth because we've seen it in the past. You got your butt saved by Mario Lemieux. You're about to go bankrupt again. You got your butt saved by Sidney Crosby. So I think Hextall would be the good move here because you can't go in a full rebuild in Pittsburgh. It won't work.
And he might be that guy that. But see, I don't know. Then if you're not going to go with full rebuild in Pittsburgh, then why would you bring somebody in there like Hextall, who we all know is going to have a 7-year plan? right? And the first thing he's going to do is start accumulating and start acquiring draft picks. Well, the only way in Pittsburgh to do that is, guess what? Some pieces have to be moved, right? And guess which of those pieces that need to be moved are?
Yeah, I do think Crosby will be the outlier of probably. I just personally think Crosby's going to be on Pittsburgh for life. Let's put it that way. Where I think he'll be the outlier. Maybe Malkin will go. Maybe Letang will go. I don't think Crosby's ever going to go.
No, I agree with you 100% because look at what happened with when Rutherford came in and after they won the couple of Stanley Cups, the only people that left there were, guess what? Everybody but Crosby and everybody but Malkin.
And Letang.
And Letang, yeah. But everybody else left. They've had 3 goalies leave now, or 2 goalies leave now, you know what I mean? And quite a few other guys that have left that, are going on to be.
One guy thinks you look like Seth Rogen.
I thought he was talking
there
about
you.
you. You look more like Seth Rogen then.
No, he said the guy in the top right.
Yeah, that was weird. I thought he was talking about.
Oh,
you.
that's me.
That's E-Money. That's E-Money. That's Evan Sullivan.
That's Evan.
He's killer.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be weird. Crosby would be the only one. The first one to go would be Malkin and Letang, and apparently. There was this thing about possibly Letang being the reason why they tried to trade him and it was shut down by upper management, and he said, okay, well, then I guess it's time for me to go. But Letang and Malkin would be the first ones to go, I think, in that, assuming they can get Malkin to do it. But besides that, who are they really going to trade?
Well, that
for a couple?
Already brought on. It would have to be people you already brought on. It would literally have to be you're going to keep Kapanen, obviously, because he's younger. I don't think you trade Kasperi because he's doing well and he's younger.
But you traded to get him. They did stuff to bring him in.
You could trade Zucker again. Zucker's not getting younger.
Yeah.
You would probably trade Brian Dumoulin, I would think, for a middle round or whatever the heck pick you get for him. And then if I would say you would probably also trade, if you got a really good offer for him, someone even though he's been playing really well on your team and they've always talked about how much they like them, I think they would trade Rust even though they have a man crush on him, if you can get a good trade for it. And then Tanev, if he keeps playing at the level he is, 3.5 is not terrible. So you could probably trade him if he actually keeps playing like he looked on the ice this year. But.
Okay, I get what you're saying there, Joe. But what you're really talking about doing though is just trading away their depth and trading away their tweener guys and trading away. You're not going to get a lot of value for these guys. You see what I'm saying?
You trade away Malkin and Letang plus.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to put some meat on that. You got to put some meat on that, man, because nobody's going to take that low-dangling fruit.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's not what I meant. You would have to trade, like if you traded Chris Letang, say with, Jared McCann, and somebody got a good bottom 6 player plus a very good defenseman in Chris Letang.
Yeah, that would work.
You're adding a lot. You might add a whole extra draft pick to that trade because you threw Jared McCann in there. That's more what I'm getting.
Well,
I was just trying to get that clarification. Sorry, bro.
The deal that was out there was Letang to the St. Louis Blues for that defenseman that they just said they were going to put on the trade block. What's his name? Dunn. And a couple other picks.
It's done.
What's going to happen is simply it's going to be a burn.
That would be a bad move.
It's going to be a burn it down. Burn it down. It's going to be devastating. Yeah, are Pittsburgh fans going to show up? Probably not. I don't know. But it's the only way to do it. If you try to do it any other way, the fans are. It's going to be worse. The damage is going to be worse. You got to burn it down right now. And if you can convince Crosby to be traded, that would be beautiful. I know that sounds devastating, but you really
that's not going to happen, man.
Convince him to go, then that would be lovely.
That's not going to happen.
If Sid gets traded, I honestly think I see him playing for Montreal or one of the big Canadian teams, either Toronto, Montreal. If they could, well, Toronto won't be able to suit it. So Montreal, somebody like that, because he would want to go back and play for somewhere in his country, I think. But that's just my own personal
Maybe.
I
take
don't
on
think
that.
he's going anywhere. I think everybody else around him is going to go
I
because,
said if he goes.
yeah. The reason why I say that is because of this. The relationship that he has with Mario Lemieux. And we all know when we talk about the upper management of Pittsburgh, that's what we're talking about is Mario Lemieux. Let's face it, he's owns the team. So when you
Yep.
talk about upper management, then that's what we're talking about there. And I guarantee you that Sid is what's putting butts in the seats in Pittsburgh.
Well,
And
you're also
every
not going to go in a full rebuild for that reason too, Steele. Mario Lemieux's not going to let his team go in a full rebuild.
you man, you're taking the words out of my mouth.
Let him
What?
finish there, Joe. We know you know everything, but
Gosh,
let Steele pretend
I
he
don't even
knows
get a
something for a
chance to
while too.
say it. He's spitting it out.
Yeah, go ahead, Steele. Continue, my friend.
Why? He said it already. We're good. We're moving
No,
on.
okay. I think
Interesting fact though about
even
you.
Mario Lemieux is going to have
Yeah.
to come to this realization.
Oh yeah.
Please, Pittsburgh, please do not make this
Yeah.
so hard on yourself. Don't go like the way of Detroit and make this a 15-year rebuild. Get it over with. Get it done. Start it now. You didn't. I mean, at least Chicago, they were smart enough to like not tell anybody they were doing it for a couple years. Like they were kind of pretending, oh, we might make the playoffs, and like behind the scenes they're like, we're not going to make the playoffs. And
Yeah, but look what happened when they did. When
yeah,
they
and
came right out and said, "Yeah, this is rebuild," that didn't go over
we
well
well
either.
they said, well, yeah, we've been doing that for a couple years. And I was like, yeah, I mean, when Taves came out, I was like, you need to fire your agent, dude. If you didn't know they
Yeah.
were going through a rebuild right now, I mean, I don't expect the players to know because the players don't think that way. They just think about win, 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 right? I don't expect them to know what's going on necessarily. But your agent better be giving you a little bit of heads up going, I think there's a bit of a rebuild happening here right now. But
No,
yeah, Pittsburgh is in a terrible, terrible spot.
I think with what Joe was pointing out though, and I think I was trying to allude to it as well, is this: we know that probably and more than likely, it's not going to be Sidney Crosby that's going to go in Pittsburgh. It's going to have to be everybody.
Unless you can
And
convince
that's
Sydney to
why
go.
it's not going to be a rebuild. Yeah, but that's why it's not going to be a rebuild
You
because
also have to
Sydney is still
convince
there,
Lemieux. Yeah.
If
Because
right?
it's not.
That's
I don't think it's just convincing Crosby. I think if Hextall came in, or say it's Ron Hextall is going to have to convince Mario Lemieux to let his bend leave the team because that's pretty much what they are. Crosby and Lemieux are pretty much best friends. So as an owner, you're normally not going to, by any cost of the imagination, unless if you're that bad and really need assets, get rid of your best friend, and you probably won't be in that much of a constraint because if you trade Letang and get a good deal, like someone like Dunn that's developing, you actually run, then that could work out. Then if you trade Malkin for either a younger forward that you develop right, or draft picks and draft a younger forward, that could work out. Where I feel Crosby's just going to be hard to convince Mario.
couldn't disagree with you on that one at
Okay,
all, man.
I agree. It's going to be hard to convince Mario, but if I'm a general manager, like if I'm Hextall and I'm going in there, I'm going to be like, how I'm going to convince Crosby is we're going to be the worst team in the league for the next 5 years. Do you want to be part of that or not? I don't think
Uh,
Crosby wants to be part of that at this stage of his career. I
I
think
don't think you're
it
not going
might
to
be a
buy anything like
difficult pick.
that.
What's that?
You're not going to buy anything coming in saying that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what
Not in
Hextall's.
Pittsburgh. That's
That's
not
what.
going to happen, man.
Then Hextall won't be the guy. That's why I
That's what
said.
I
That's a good,
mean.
yeah,
That's why
an
I
NHL
said
hockey
that
move.
if they hire Hextall, that's what's happening. They're going to
Yeah.
rebuild, completely
Also,
rebuild. So
our friend brought up a great point. NHL Hockey News reports Wild have the Pens first rounder. So
yeah,
yeah,
well I know. It's going to have to start
Pittsburgh
now.
might want to.
And if they don't
You know
bring
what
in
else I
Hex,
think too? You know what else I think too? I think Pittsburgh waits until the end of the season
Agreed. Yeah, I
oh yeah,
don't
to
think they
get
would.
probably.
their general manager.
Oh, general manager.
Oh, I
Okay, I
don't know
thought you
about
meant the
that.
rebuild. That's not where I knew it. I don't know about that yet.
I think they do because
The other guy only was there for 2 months though. He doesn't even know.
okay. All
Mellenby,
right.
Mellenby
Yeah.
in where was Mellenby from? Montreal. Mellenby in Montreal is the other guy that's up there. He probably wouldn't have a rebuild attitude, but what I'm saying is, if they do anything but a rebuild, they're making a mistake, making a huge mistake, and I mean a
You know,
complete
they
burn
don't.
it down rebuild. They're making a huge
Yeah,
mistake.
but they don't have. But okay, look, we really think that they have enough offensive firepower with some of the guys that they brought in, especially in the offseason. That the only thing that we think that they have lacking is obviously a goaltender who can be consistent every night, and then they're lacking those one or two defensive players, right? So if you get those one or two defensive players in there by trading away a big block like Letang or Malkin, right? You get some of those guys in there. You get a player that can come in and play right away. You get some draft picks, whatever. The offseason, you're going to have to go get a goalie or something because the guys that you got back there
Unless
in
if
net ain't
Dory
working.
comes, yeah.
You
Unless
know
if
what I mean?
Dory comes out of his little struggle shell right now.
Whatever. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. I don't think that Pittsburgh needs to do a complete rebuild.
I do.
I think I
I
think
don't
that
think they can.
I think they
yeah,
can.
they don't have the space either. They don't have the money or any of
No,
that.
not that. It's because of the fans. Like I said, you
Yeah,
can't do
okay,
a
yeah.
complete rebuild in Pittsburgh. They won't
Okay,
show up.
I don't agree with you. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be competitive enough if they do, to keep the fans either. This team will miss the playoffs for a while now. They don't have they don't have the defense to keep going. Demelin can't stay healthy. Uh,
Well, that's why you have
Letang
to
is
keep.
getting older.
Yeah.
The only way maybe they've got a chance if they can get Gibson out of Anaheim. If they can get Gibson out of
True.
Anaheim, then Gibson can almost get any team into the far into the playoffs. That would be
True.
about the only chance. If they get an all-star number one goaltender like Gibson or Kemper, they could save themselves, and then try to rebuild around. And he's 35 now.
Four,
How
yeah.
old is he?
34.
34.
34. Let me hold on.
There's a
Wait a minute. Wait.
there's a
34. Yeah.
te- there's a
34. They're
team
both
out.
in their mid
Okay,
30s.
you got to think of a team that's in the that's in,
Oh my God. Are you kidding? Nashville, really?
yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying out of my top. I'm just
Does he like music?
that would be the like Nashville. Like what other teams are there that can fit his cap?
Is Malkin a big country music guy?
He would look. The only reason that Malkin would leave, the only reason that any member of that group of players would leave Pittsburgh is if they were going to go to a team that's going to hoist the cup.
Yeah,
Granted, though, Nashville would if you had that one more defender, or not defender, excuse me, offensive potency player that also, when he actually focuses on the other end, does pretty solid on defense. You would have three very good centers there because you already have Johansson and
no, I'm
Duchesne, and then
saying
you
you
would
take
have
one of them back. You take Johansson or
yeah,
Duchesne back. They're younger, maybe something like that, or
Yeah.
Montreal. You
could
already
be
mentioned
better,
Montreal. Montreal, you could take
could be
you could take one of their centers back. 'Cause Montreal would probably go for it, and first round pick or something like that,
Yeah.
and some picks.
Yeah.
That's
See, that's going to be the thing. Who's going to be able to eat some of his salary? Who's going to be able to take him on or offer him a new contract or whatever the case is, right? Is there any team out there that really potentially could do that where he would waive his no trade clause or whatever? Is there a team out there?
a team that could do it because they already have a couple million in cap. They would just have to trade some of their lower cap people to make it work, especially with certain guys on IR. If they maneuver some stuff, Dallas would be interesting because they got to it last
Wow.
year. They couldn't get over the hump.
Wow.
You could already say
my
they got
gosh.
there once. You're probably going to get back. They have the potential to get back there again.
What are you going to
Um,
get back there though? I mean,
uh, you would probably have to go with picks and then some of their younger guys. Like if they
No,
want to
no, we
hit
can't do that.
see,
No,
if you're going to
no.
rebuild,
Eh,
you go with
or
Delandria, maybe
Delandria, yeah,
Klingberg,
Delandria
and a
and some.
first or something like that. Delandria, Klingberg,
They're
and a
not.
first.
You're not going to get John Klingberg.
Yeah,
I
you
was just
will
gonna
because
say, yeah, you're not gonna get
they've got
that.
defensemen
No,
coming.
they're not because they're trying to win.
I'll
They're not. They're not going to get John Klingberg because Dallas is trying to win the
I'll,
cup. That's the reason they're getting
I
Malkin. There's no chance
they've
you're getting
got
John.
guys to replace Klingberg right now. I bet you he's traded.
No,
He's
it's
tradable.
John Clint. Nobody's
Well,
that as good as John Klingberg. Like, I
Sure,
don't
do you
think
know
you
what?
can.
absolutely.
Hey. Do you know why this might make Dallas really awesome to do this with? Because you know who they could wrap up in this whole package? A certain goalie
Oh, Bishop. Yeah,
that would probably be amazing in Pittsburgh.
I don't know if he can stay healthy. That's the problem.
But
If he
if
can
he can
stay
stay
healthy, they
healthy,
also have Ottinger. They have Jake Ottinger, the young kid too. I wonder if Pittsburgh would have any interest in Otti.
Yeah.
There's also
I
that.
don't think they're as high on Klingberg as you think they are, Joe. I really don't. You,
I think they are because I don't think. Well, first of all, what's his face should not be a top. Tomas Harley's good, but he's not going to replace John Klingberg at 19. And then,
yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
you have Bart Tiax, or however you say his name, that Dawson kid. He's not going to be a Klingberg. He's a different type of defenseman.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like John Klingberg's the much better version of Phil Myers. Though, if you want to get rid of a
No,
much better
Klingberg
version
is
of Phil
soft
Myers,
as hell. That's the reason why.
he might be soft. Well, who cares about that? He's good offensively. He gets the shot through. You don't need everyone to be physical on your team. That's not even the name of the game anymore.
Yeah, but I
That's
know
only
you're
the name of
comparing
the
him
game
to
for the regular
Myers,
season.
though. You're comparing him to
Because
Myers.
Myers gets the shot through. Who cares about how physical they are? I'm talking about offensive attributes.
Uh,
Those guys are pretty much the same. Even Phil Myers learned the slide at the blue line, get the shot through from watching John Klingberg. So
Oh man.
that's why I don't think there's a chance the Stars are getting rid of John Klingberg unless if they get somebody if they
Well,
defensive asset back.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what, look,
Hope it
that's
doesn't
definitely
help
going to be
them.
interesting. But, speaking of Dallas, they kind of had a rough weekend, didn't they?
oh yeah, they took a.
Yeah, they also had Zakara go on the COVID list
Yep.
again. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that didn't help. He's been pretty good since he's went to Dallas as a veteran anchor on that.
Yeah, yeah. They dropped 2 games there to Carolina there. So I don't know. It was kind of interesting to just sit there and watch you guys go, man, because I thought that was very interesting about what we all think about what Pittsburgh's going to do. We all kind of have that same opinion about Pittsburgh, that we feel that they need to do something because obviously what they're putting out on the ice right now ain't going to win them a cup this year. And if they continue on down the same road, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they got to do something, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to have to move a big puzzle piece in order to get some more pieces to add to what they need to do. They need to get a general manager that's going to be able to come in there and do what they need to do. That's going to get them where they're going to get to. Whether that's going to be Ron Hextall or not. Look, we all agree that if Ron Hextall is going to be the hire, that we know which way Pittsburgh is going to go. And if he's not the hire, then we also know that which direction they're going to go as well too.
Yeah, well,
You know what I
depending on
mean?
who
Yeah.
they hire, yeah. Like if they hire
How
if
about
they hire
Malkin to Calgary?
Mellenby, it would probably be a tweener type. They would trade Letang, keep Malkin and Crosby, and then cross their fingers they can bring some
Yeah.
guys in or something like that, which I think is a big
NHL
mistake.
hockey news reports. How about Malkin to Calgary?
Yeah, it makes some sense. Monahan and one of their defensemen there that I don't
Or
know.
Goudreau. You just want a winger instead of a center.
But what would they give up though? What would Calgary have to give up?
Well, if you give them Johnny Goudreau with how he's playing this year again, he's kind of seems like he's back to being Johnny.
Professor Joe, can I just just throw this at you. Do you realize that you just said to bring Johnny Gaudreau to the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yeah.
If I was standing next to you right now, I think I might have to throw a cold glass of water at you.
Well, that's a high possibility too, because I would say the three most likely places Goudreau's going to go is two teams we don't like or us. Because if
Yeah,
you look at the
all right,
reasons,
all right, all right, all right.
it's Jersey because he's from that retro
Yeah, I could definitely
ish
see him going to
area
the
too.
Devils.
One of the New York teams, because he's also from that general ish area,
Yeah, maybe the Islanders.
and then you have Pittsburgh, and then you have us.
Yeah.
So I would say for him, it's going to be one of those teams if he does end up getting moved. I think the favorite would probably be Philly, but I would not be surprised if he goes anywhere
Oh
else.
man. I don't even want to entertain the thought of Johnny Gaudreau putting on a Penguins jersey, and the whole thought of that just gives me the shivers and the
I
willies.
agree with Lauren on this. I think the best place, I think the team that would be most bullish about it would be Montreal.
Yeah,
I think that would be the most bullish team out
yeah,
there. They'd be all over. They'd be, and you could do like a Drouin, Mete. You're gonna need something better than that. Like I don't know. Off the
So
top
you're
of my head.
saying Malkin with up there playing with either Suzuki or Kotkaniemi, right?
Well, they would be Malkin would become the number one, Suzuki would be number the two, and Kotkaniemi would be the number three, and then you'd have like
But
who?
no, but that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You have
the only
those three
problem is what
guys
are you
up the
doing with
middle.
Dano then? Because
No,
Dano's going to
Dano's
be
getting
pissed off.
traded.
Yeah.
Dano would be part of the trade. Dano would be part of the trade.
Okay.
Yeah, and because Dano wants to be a first anyways, and Pittsburgh, I got to remember when
To-
making this trade, Pittsburgh's not thinking about winning for 5 years if they make that trade. So Dano can be his number one center and
No.
not win for the next 5 years. So.
Hey,
Well,
here's a
Crosby would still be
long
the
shot.
and then you would have.
Here's a long shot throw for you.
Hmm.
How about Florida?
Uh, I,
The reason why I say Florida is this. Pittsburgh desperately needs a goalie. And Florida has some pretty darn good goalies in their prospect.
Bobrovsky or in their
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no.
yeah, in their
I
In their
think you meant that
prospect
young
pool,
guy.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, on
Bad
paper it makes
prospect.
sense, but I just don't think Florida is going to add another veteran like
I
that.
wonder if anyone will trade for Dreiger because Chris Dreiger's also
Drager,
looked
yeah,
very good. Yeah,
Drager's doing really
he's
Okay.
well.
in.
Yeah. But yeah, they got
He's
a
been
couple
in
there, but
for.
I just don't think Florida is going to want to add that kind of cap space to a veteran right now in their lineup. But it's an interesting idea for sure, no doubt about
I
it.
mean, the reason why I'm saying that is because Pittsburgh needs goalie.
Yeah,
And they're the only team really. I mean, everybody else is pretty much either thin or already at maximum capacity with goalies. And you look at the prospects that are coming through, especially at Florida with the two prospects they have, and then even potentially the one that the Flyers have with Ivan. You know what I mean? So
But
Pittsburgh is going to
Ochoa,
be
yeah.
looking for a goalie.
well, if they trade Malkin, they're going to be looking for forwards too. They're going to be looking
Yeah.
for
Well,
everything.
first of all, if they traded us Evgeny Malkin for Ivan Fedotov, I would automatically already like Evgeny Malkin. Like that wouldn't even take me long because we just traded a goalie we don't need only for Evgeny Malkin
Yeah,
or
I
like
don't
a
think
goalie.
a
Like I'm
goaltender.
pretty sure if they took that, I would think Pittsburgh forgot what trading was for a day and was
I'm
just
not
like,
talking about that as a straight up trade.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
I know.
talking about that.
I'm just making a joke. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
if
You
they
would have
did
to
that,
add him
I
in.
would, yeah, I would personally drive to Pittsburgh just to hug Mario Lemieux and like, like that's about the
Well,
extent of
gosh, you were ready to bring Johnny Gaudreau down there. What?
it.
yeah, the
Yeah, I'll be like, bring it in, thank you,
it's
thank you.
just
Okay, have
if
a
they're
great
going to
day.
do a rebuild, I don't think they're going to worry too much about getting a goaltender because goaltenders don't get you good draft picks. So I don't think it's going to be high on their list right now if that's what they're going to do. And if they're
Well, you
trading,
could
if
get
they're
a young,
trading Malkin, there's definitely a rebuild
yeah,
going on. There's no doubt about that.
because if you traded with us, just as an example, Fedotov's not the only guy. Samuel Urson's also killing it overseas.
Yeah.
Uh, so you would have two guys. You have to wait for them to come over too. So if you trade for them now, they're not just going to automatically say, okay, guys, I'm packing my bags and going over to the States and playing for Pittsburgh. They still have to finish out their contract overseas. So you're going to have, I think that could work. It wouldn't be the mainstay of the trade, though. It would be part of
yeah.
Philadelphia would have to pay way over to get Malkin because they don't.
Oh yeah,
they're
because
not
of a
going to want to do
rival.
that at all.
Yeah, you would have to pay way over unless if New Jersey or unless if Pittsburgh was literally like, we don't care who we trade them to,
No.
we just want.
I don't understand why. Yeah, okay, yeah, that would be.
They're not going to make their own division stronger. Like
I don't think Philadelphia. I don't think they're going to go and look to trade Malkin to somebody in their own division. I think if they're going to trade Malkin, it's going to be somebody that's going to be either, outside of the East or something along those lines, or, you know what I mean, and or I just.
I agree. I'm just saying, sometimes if you can't find it, you do whatever you have to do at that point.
Another team.
Yeah, the only reason why I said Florida though is because of the goalies. That's all.
Another team that I don't.
Knight and Lindell.
Another team that I don't think he would okay the trade to, but would want him would be the Columbus Blue Jackets. But anyways, we beat this down. So if. The fact of the matter is it's going to be interesting to see what Pittsburgh does here, and who their general manager they pick is going to say a lot. I personally think that they're going to have to do a tear it down rebuild for them to be effective. If I'm a fan, that's what I'm hoping for, because I don't want a team that's a middling team for the next however long. If you're going to do it, just freaking do it. Just get it over with. Let's do it. That's what I say about that.
Yeah, I think we'll know once we find out what they're going to do with their general manager. Yeah. Obviously, if they hire Ron Hextall, then we know that they're definitely going to be in rebuild mode. And if they hire another general manager or somebody else they bring in, whatever the case is going to be, then we know that they're going to try to do some creative things and try to continue to still win and things like that. Look, next year I think is going to be different. We're not gonna have the alignments of the divisions. You know what I mean? We're hoping that we're gonna have a normal, regular, full 82 game season. That kind of thing too. So, like I said, I think it might not be a bad idea for them to wait until after this season to hire somebody as a general manager. But then again, I'm just sitting here on this side.
Yeah. If it's me, I'm taking Hextall all day long. I'm begging him to come. That's the guy that's built the. That's the guy that built the LA Kings. It's the guy that built the Philadelphia Flyers. You remember, he not only built the Philadelphia Flyers, he did it really fast.
5 years.
Yeah. So
in 7 years, he put 2 cups down in LA, and all of them were drafted. All those guys, Kopitar, Quick. You know what I mean? They're all drafted guys down there, right?
They brought Richards in and
Richards and
Clark. But I mean, but their core.
Yeah.
They drafted all those guys as their core. They brought in a couple of pieces here's and there's, but they got 2 cups because of what Ron Hextall was able to do there in LA.
Yeah, I think I'd be all over Hextall. I would hope, if I was a Pittsburgh fan, I'd be praying they hire Hextall.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a good idea. There's so many ties with Ron Hextall and Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's look at a little history here, right? Who was the coach of the Flyers during their Stanley Cup winning teams? Fred Shero.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, who was the general manager of the Pittsburgh team that brought in Crosby and won cups? His son.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, gosh.
Yeah. It seems like a slam dunk, but I mean,
it does.
But like I said, if you do that, Hextall, Hextall, he's doing it his way. I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to like that too much.
And if he is not able to sit down with Mario Lemieux and say, look, Mario, I get it. These are your beloved Penguins, but this is how we're going to do it. And if Mario says, okie doke, then okay. But if not, then Hextall's not going to be the man there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That would be an interesting conversation to be a fly on the wall for, to see how that goes.
Ron Hextall and Mario Lemieux sitting down talking about, well, Mr. Lemieux, I'd like to ask you for a job.
Yeah. Okay,
and
let's
then trade
go.
half of your
Let's
franchise.
keep it.
Yeah, right.
We'll keep in that division because the next order of business came out of that division, and when I saw this, I had to double take. Like D'Angelo put on waivers. Like Mike, they just gave him a contract. 24-year-old defenseman that's had 50 to 60 points in the past does something so epic, and I imagine probably more than one thing that they're like, we don't even care if somebody takes you for free. What did you guys? How was your reaction to that when you heard it?
Well, we'll let Fisticuffs Pro Joe go first on this one.
uh, Lord Darkin said D'Angelo sucks. But the thing with him, he's a basket case. That's the nice way to put it. I'm gonna try to put it in nice terms. He's a basket case. He might put up the point total, like my friend said. Would you want? He messaged in the group as I was on a podcast talking about this yesterday. Would you want to give a chance to him? And I'm like, absolutely not, because the one thing that's good and concise, even through some of the 5-on-5 and power play struggles with the Flyers, is chemistry in the locker room. The one thing Tony DeAngelo was not known for, especially, is having chemistry with your locker room. So I would not take a chance on him by any stretch of the imagination. He is very good offensively. He was fun to watch in the OHL. I will give him that. He was a guy I was high on coming up, and it's really just his own immaturity has led to his career being where it's at. He can't blame anybody but himself for being where he's at right now. If he just was able to keep his head on straight, focus on hockey, and let everyone that actually has the power to do something worry about the outside world, then he would be one of the better, more productive power play defensemen. Now, he's terrible on defense, but he would be one of the better productive power play and offensive defensemen in the game. But he just can't focus enough to be able to do that. And that's just a really sad thing. And I'm hoping somebody that picks him up, if somebody picks him up, because I don't think anyone's going to take the chance, will be able to kind of get his personality in check, because that's what Tony DeAngelo needs. He needs a stern team to pick him up and say, you ain't doing this, get off of social media, never create an account again. If I see you have a burner account, you're released immediately, no questions asked. Get off of everything, focus on hockey, or you're not even getting a chance with this team. I think you have to be very strict with Tony DeAngelo. I don't think you can leave anything up for interpretation. I think it literally has to be, Tony, we like your assets. We're going to pick you up, but we're only picking you up if you promise to just focus on hockey. If I see anything in the outside world that you get knocked for it, you're gone. I don't care if you have 70 points at the time. You're gone.
Yeah, I
Like
have a feeling.
that's
I have a feeling that's already happened, and that's the reason why he's out. What did you think, Steele?
exactly.
What did you think, Steele?
I'm not a fan of inner fighting amongst teammates. I'm not a fan of that getting out into the media. Okay, those are kinds of things that need to stay in house. And the fact that it came out is is a lot of red flags for me. Okay, now I understand why it came out, because it needed to. Okay, you don't do that kind of,
Well,
you don't
real
act
quick,
like
don't
that.
you think it came out because media's at practice too?
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's
I'm getting there.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm getting there. Hang with me. I really think that it needed to come out because of this person's actions were so over the top and so completely and utterly 100% in the wrong.
Flabbergasting.
Yes, yes. What? You did what?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I would be utterly amazed if even somebody like your good buddy Torts gave him a call and said, I can fix him. Because look, you get a lot of these kind of players and they need to wake up. And this might be his wake up call right here. You
It
know,
has to be.
You sit for a year and you realize, oh, maybe I better wake up and realize what's going on here. And, because I guarantee you what, the next contract that he's going to get is going to be a ultra minimum, ultra, prove it contract, whatever, whatever. Look, we all know that somewhere, somehow, this guy's going to get another shot because that's just how it is, especially when you are that talented and gifted. When you have that much upside, when you have that much offensive skill, when you have that, you understand what I'm trying to get to here? All you have to do is look at the NFL and how many
Yeah.
chances those guys get because they can run the football, because they can catch the football, because they can throw the football, right? It's kind of the same thing almost in the NHL. Yeah, guys have made mistakes. Yeah, guys have picked themselves up and gone on to do better things, and some guys haven't. And this is going to be one of those examples where if D'Angelo gets his head out of his rear end, right, and wakes up and smells the crap that he's shoveling, okay, seriously, and matures up and mans up, he's not going to be playing and getting paid in the NHL, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like I don't know if he's going to get another chance. I'm 50-50 on it. He was in Tampa Bay when
That's about
when
what.
Stevie
Yeah.
Eiserman was there. They drafted him. Okay, he didn't even play a single game and was putting up big numbers in junior. And they traded him to Arizona. I can't remember who it was for, but I remember when they made the trade just for player. I was like, why would Stevie Eiserman do that? I don't know what it was, but you were getting the idea that it probably was Stevie Eiserman got fed up with something, right? Went to Arizona, and I think he lasted a year, and they traded him for Stepan and Ranta. They raked the Rangers over the coal by getting Ranta in that trade, but there was lots of murmurs all that year of him being problem. It looks like he went to the Rangers because he lasted there 4 years, and they sat him down and said, "Look, buddy, you're a kid. You're this young. This is your third team. Let me tell you a little bit about the NHL. As soon as you start moving teams like this, it doesn't take long before teams give up on you." And he turned things around a bit and started towing the line, and then it just little things started popping up again, and the old D'Angelo came up, and then whatever happened here in the dressing room or whatever, and he's
On
gone.
the ice.
So
Yeah.
now all of the teams are going to be calling up Stevie Y. I can't remember who the general manager was at the time and saying what happened there, what
Yeah.
happened here, what happened there, and all of them are like, "Hey, take him if you want," but so it's possible, like the goat John says, who, by the way, I could be live with tonight if everything turns out and the snowstorm doesn't destroy his satellite for the Boston Washington game. Uh,
Or if even that game is going to go on, where's the game at? Is it in Washington?
yeah, I think it's in Washington, so I should be able to go.
Okay, well I don't know, man.
Now, DC might honestly be worse than Boston right now because Boston's used to the snow. DC, if you get a half a speck of snow on the ground,
They close
everyone's like,
it.
oh my God,
Yeah,
oh,
they
oh
close the whole
my
place.
God. Like DC is probably the most nuts place in the country when it snows.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
everything.
yeah.
Vancouver, the
Yeah.
Vancouver of Canada.
Yeah, so
Right.
if it gets worse, which it's supposed to, uh, they might not because are have they traveled yet? If they've traveled, then they'll play.
I think they're traveled, yeah. And all indications are that they're playing already by now, so they probably will be playing. But anyways, the best place for him probably was Detroit. Unfortunately, Stevie Y is a general manager there. If you go down on who would take a risk on him, there isn't too many teams. I mean, the Islanders need defense really bad, but you think Lou Lamoriello is going to take that
He's also
headache
not
on?
really defensive though. So like if you're saying you need defense really bad, you have to keep in mind it would be more of a team that needs an
Yeah, well,
offensive
it
defense.
doesn't. New York
Yeah,
Islanders just need a defenseman that
bodies.
can do
Yeah.
something, offense, defense,
So
something.
does San Jose, but I
San
don't think
Jose,
they're.
they don't need another guy like that because they have Carlson and
Their whole entire defense is offense, other than Mario Ferraro. That's why I make the
and
joke.
Vlasic.
Yeah. Ferraro's not a Provorov, but he probably is in the same boat, like mentality wise, because when Provorov first came up, like our defense was like not playing defense at all. He's probably going, "Why the heck am I the only guy playing defense? I just got in the league 5 seconds ago." Where
really.
I'm sure Mario Ferraro on San Jose is thinking the same thing. Like, excuse me, gentlemen, I got in the league 2.5 seconds ago. Well, I would appreciate if you all could play defense, and I'm not the best defender on the team. Thank you very much.
How about that? Thank you very kindly.
Yeah. So looking down, I mean, the only team I could think of that might do it simply because they've been so good at changing defensemen and building defensemen would be the Los Angeles Kings. May gave him a shot, but I think John is right. It's probably going to be the KHL for D'Angelo.
Yeah.
You go ride around in Moscow for a while on a bus. See how that works for you.
You're going to want to come back, especially right now. If you're in Russia right now, you're going to want to come back real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't going to take. That's going to be.
It's not going to take long.
The only thing is they didn't suspend him or terminate his contract. So whatever he did, they couldn't terminate his contract. Like it wasn't a breach of contract. So he can sit at home and get paid the millions he's getting paid, and they got to pay him.
Yeah, and then that's why. And then any team that picks him up, they have to. Yeah, they have to eat. What is it? 40%.
No, they pick him up. They pay him.
Yeah, okay. Oh, the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. So there's a lot of issues in this cap world. D'Angelo could feasibly, if the Rangers refuse to take him back for whatever he did and nobody picks him up, he could feasibly have ended his career.
Yeah, probably.
Because unless he terminates his own contract and goes plays in Europe or something, which he's never going to make that kind of much money, he could feasibly have ended his career, which would be unbelievable.
Well, we've seen guys go out in other sports younger for less reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, in New York, unless if they really have injury problems, when Chris Kreider, who's one of the heart and souls of that team, and not to mention one of the fan favorites of New York's fan base, has to get involved per reports to stop it.
Yeah.
You're not going to ever be liked by that fan base again.
Yeah.
That's you're messing with their like love child. Yeah. Like that's you're not going to be liked by New York again.
So you're saying he's probably not coming back to the Rangers then, huh?
No, I can't see it.
It would have to be forced. Like it would have to be 3 guys get injured or a couple guys and they really have no other choice other than to bring D'Angelo back in.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted to go public with it either, but as soon as you put a guy like D'Angelo on waivers, you're going to have to answer something. Like, you're just going to look like
you can't
idiot.
just show up the next day and D'Angelo's on waivers today and what?
Your fan base is going to lose their mind. Like, say whatever you want. He still was a 53-point defenseman 2 years ago, last year. You better have an answer for why you're doing something that, crazy.
And especially too, didn't they just sign him to an extension this past off season too? You know what I mean? It's like, well, you thought good enough of him to offer him a contract.
Yeah. What do you not think that part of that extension is, you've been doing okay so far. So, we're going to give you a short contract, but let me remind you to not be an idiot. And for these reasons, and I'm going to put it up on the board, and we'll put gold stars every time you don't do these things. And apparently, they forgot to put "don't beat up your goalie," and and he was like, "But you didn't tell me I couldn't beat up my goalie. That wasn't on the list." Well, you created a new list, and
No, I think it was. I read a piece when he went on waiver, and the guy said in the offseason they were trying to trade him, but they couldn't find because he was restricted. And they couldn't find when he was restricted someone to take him to then offer him the same contract once they traded for a restricted free agent.
Okay.
So they basically said, you still have the offensive talent. You're a pain in our behinds beyond belief. but you have the offensive talent. So we're going to give you the contract and hope for the best. And then obviously the hope for the best part to not pan out. So that's kind of the way that I see that. I think they wanted to move him, and we saw the rumors in the offseason. It's just what he wanted to take the chance, because I think people wanted to see, which was smart. How's he going to act once he gets paid? And we just saw that, and it wasn't good. So
yeah, well, those topics did ate up a lot of time here. I was going to get into the games over the weekend, but they sort of took a back seat to all this news. One of the big games, though, we will
Wait,
have.
they played games this weekend?
Yeah, apparently. One of the
Yeah,
big.
there you go.
We will talk about one of the big games, of course. This everybody's talking about it. The Edmonton Oilers and the Ottawa Senators last night, and the big duo of Draisaitl and McDavid, 6 assists for Draisaitl. First time that's happened, or not first time first time it's happened since a guy you might have heard of, Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
1997 is the last time somebody got 6 assists in one game.
Wow.
Pretty
Holy
special
moly.
moment.
That's getting it done.
yeah,
I think that garners well, because McDavid scored how many goals?
Uh,
And he also had how many assists as well?
yeah, I think
So
he had
like who do you give the
5
first star
points.
to there?
I think he had 5 points. Draisaitl has 11 goals in 12 games or something like that.
yeah. They're competing for the Hart Trophy.
They
Again.
have
It's insane.
22 and 23 points together. Like
What's up, Peyton?
one has 22 and one has 23 points in 11 games. Peyton shows up as soon as we start talking about the Oilers, of course.
Oh, it's like his ears are ringing or something.
Yeah.
Oilers. Yeah, it's like Spidey senses. He has Oilers senses.
Yeah. Oh, they're talking about the oil man.
Better hop on there.
Yeah.
But
You
yeah,
know, look, the fact that Ottawa kind of actually showed a little bit of life there. I mean, I was a little bit impressed with what Ottawa was able to do. They scored 5 goals. You know, there was no quit to them. You know what I mean? Like, look, we know, look, they've only won one game.
yeah.
Okay, so they're trying, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
the story of that game, and it's we're going to go back to the Pittsburgh connection, is I put up like real question marks about their signing of Murray,
Well,
and
yeah.
oh my gosh, the thing about that he stopped he let in 3 goals in about 2.5 minutes or something like that, and most of them were gettable, but it
Soft.
was when he went off the ice. I could have swore I saw his mouth. They showed him, and he said, I could have swore his mouth said something to the effect of, "What the f am I going to do with this defense?" Yeah, maybe you're right, but $6 million at 3 years. Maybe try stopping him 1 or 2 pucks. Like
Hey, how about that?
he is horrible, 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 horrible this year. He has been probably, I have to think, the worst goaltender in the NHL.
Yeah, but look
To
where
start
he's
the
at.
year. Yeah,
Yeah, look where he's at. Look how much. Look, they're just
That
really not
was
playing.
just yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, look where he's at. Okay, he was in Pittsburgh, and Peyton here talked about it, and he had me kind of convinced Pittsburgh's defense is poor, and they're going to go to Ottawa and they're going to change him around. But Jari put up some good numbers with that Pittsburgh defense in front of him. He lost the job. Okay, he lost the
two
job to
jar.
Jari.
Yeah,
To Jari. He hadn't been putting up good numbers for 2.5 years. And Ottawa decides we have the magic elixir that's going to bring this guy up to $6 million for 3 years status. I don't know. I found it very head scratching. And now it's wound scratching, is the way I want to say it. Like, this contract could actually debilitate their rebuild completely.
yeah,
Because you got to
yeah.
remember, this isn't a cap team. They can't spend to the cap, so they're already not a cap team, and they're throwing $6 million at a goaltender that can't stop pucks.
Yeah, when Pittsburgh paid Yara, you figure even if he struggles a bit, he only got paid 3.5, which is in hindsight, some backups or 1Bs get paid 3.5. Example A, Peter Mrazek, I think, gets paid around that total. So, like that's kind of the way there. They did it the right way, where it seems like Ottawa did it the wrong way.
Yeah, Peyton said really weak shots from Neal. Yeah, absolutely no doubt about it. By
That
the way,
one was a
anybody who's out there,
changeup that Khan scored. Dominic Cahoon scored on.
Cahoon.
That was like a
Yeah,
changeup.
yeah, that
Like that
was
shot was like weird as heck.
that game was just like I couldn't believe that Edmonton just exploded like that at the beginning of the game, and the fact that there was what 8 goals in the first period. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that right there was just. I mean, the fact that there was 8 goals in the first period was like, well, okay. What goalies? What defense?
Well, the Oilers had a guy who was a backup in the AHL. Skinner is a backup in the AHL. This was his dream day, his day in the sun. And he won a game, and he'll put that puck or whatever up on a pedestal. Probably never see ice time again.
Well, you mean
Maybe,
the 5 pucks? He'll be able to put 5 pucks up there because he let 5 goals in.
yeah, but I mean one of the game pucks, anyways, whichever one it was. He'll put that up on his mantle and say that he won an NHL game, which is amazing because, I mean, Peyton will tell you. By the way, Peyton on the radio, he's one of the SteelFlyers crew, spelled CRUW. Steel Flyers crew.
Yeah, we're the crew.
Crew.
Yeah.
I want to maintain that. I like that.
Okay.
If anybody doesn't know what happened, I put up the words crew and I kind of did like what I said crew. I just spelt it CRUW. I think it was like Motley Crew and the actual word combined or something like that.
There you
But
go.
anyways, Peyton
Well,
on the
we are
radio, he's
kind
got
of
an
a motley
awesome
crew,
chest.
though. You know what I mean?
We are
Little
sort of.
M as compared to Big M.
Yeah, motley is the word that comes up all the time when people talk about us.
But I'll tell you what, though. We sure do know how to talk about the NHL, and we
Yes, we
sure
do.
do know how to talk about what's going on with hockey right now. And the fact that we were able to sit down and have a very good conversation about what was going on in Pittsburgh, and the fact that we were able to sit down and talk about, what's going on right now with the Edmonton Oilers and the Ottawa Senators. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather be watching this than anything else.
yeah. It was good times. I mean, it was a great weekend. Oh, there's so much more that those a lot of great games. The New York Rangers Pittsburgh game. It was a Pittsburgh day today. I could have talked about that. The New York Rangers got to win that game, and they don't. I'm really concerned for that team
Yeah.
right now.
Dallas
Maybe
losing 2 in a row.
losing D'Angelo is the elixir uh, the like Projo saying when there's a culture issue because of one player can ruin the whole
The
energy of a
locker room.
team, right?
Yeah.
The locker room and
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But like, there was so much that happened this weekend. The fact that Dallas dropped 2 in a row, where they were able to come out of the gates and just not lose a game for the first 4 games, and then drop 2 games to the Carolina Hurricanes. You know what I mean? I thought
Yep.
that was one of the bigger stories of the weekend as well. Washington just kept rolling. They continue to win.
Action. Yeah.
Right. The fact that Montreal lost.
Hmm.
Okay, the fact that Montreal lost, we
yeah,
that to me, I think right there, because we're starting to see the likes of the undefeateds are starting to fall now. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? And so to me, those are big stories as far as that's
Yeah.
concerned. The
Another
sweep
one
that
could be
Philadelphia did over over the Islanders, I think, was another major because that was a must-win series for the Islanders because they had dropped the last 3 games, and that was a must-win series for the Islanders. And quite honestly, they outshot Philly, right? And they didn't look that bad. It's just that Philly just had better timing on their goals.
yeah, and that's the issue with the Islanders is they play the game well. It's sort of like the way I used to play basketball. I could dribble around everybody, but once I got to the hoop, it wouldn't go in. they don't really have those pure scorers on the island. They got to win by committee, and they when the loss of Boychuk and Taves, which we all talked about before the season started, it just seems like it's taken too much of a toll on that defense to be able to, even though they're playing the system perfect, teams are still finding the chink in the armor back
Yeah,
there. With they just
because
don't simply have the talent to play the system.
yeah, the reason they were able to survive was Varlamov got off to such a hot start. Still was looking pretty good, but is getting not helped out at all by the defense. And
Right.
then you got a young goaltender that's having to make the sprawling saves like he made yesterday because he has no defense. So I mean, like that's not really the ideal situation for Ilya Sorokin. Granted, I think Sorokin will be fine because of his talent level. Because another guy I wanted to bring up that's been tremendous in his first 6 games is Kevin Lankinen. As a you ever
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
out of the goaltenders where they have no defense one iota at all either. So it's nice to see a guy come in. They might have found they've been playing better in front of him, but on paper they still don't have a good defense. So they are starting to play better. Maybe the guys that are more offensively inclined will be able to beat both ends now in Chicago, because that's the other thing with Chicago. They got a lot of defensemen that are young that like to join the rush and don't always get their hightails back quick enough to um, defend the opposing rush. But he's been really saving them. He looks like like you said, Pearlo, in our group chat, they were high on him, but they definitely did not want to start him yet. That's why they had the envision of Delea playing a bit, having Subban play a bit, and then when they thought he was ready, they probably wanted him to honestly start in the AHL and be their AHL starter to get some seasoning, and then all else failed. So you would just like, all right, well, you seem ready enough, kid, and then
I was just gonna say, yeah.
more than ready enough, and now you probably found your future starting goaltender. So,
I mean, for
uh,
real.
congratulations to the Blackhawks for that one. You got a very good undrafted guy that you were able to develop and wait and be patient with, and that's what you got to be with goalies. Not all goalies are going to be quick risers, and it's nice to see them take the time and develop him and really have the guy from Finland I think he's from Finland, have a very good start to his career.
Yeah.
What's his name? CL asked, and that do you think
Helsinki,
that
yeah,
how do you
Helsinki.
think Beauvillier will be? And that is a big thing. They are missing Beauvillier so bad, and I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a good 50 to 60 point guy. They
Easy.
desperately need Beauvillier back in the lineup.
Yeah.
You look at what they got Pajot playing with, like just scrubs pretty much on that on the third line. Their whole it's just they can't. They don't have enough depth on either side. Before the season started last year, I said if they made the playoffs, Trot should get or coach of the year. If they can make it this year, you probably got to put it in the same, maybe even more so than before, because this on paper, that team looks pretty depleted. Chicago with Lankinen, um, we were all saying, what are they going to do? They only got Subban or whatever, and Ballard uh, kept on saying, we got Lankinen, we like this kid, we're going to give him a shot and everything, and they're looking pretty smart now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm excited. I mean, when you watch that kid, like I've watched. First of all, obviously the Blackhawks normally wouldn't be the team on NHL TV. I'm setting my night aside and going, okay, let me allot out some time here to watch the Chicago Blackhawks a couple
What?
games. But
What do you mean?
but with the way he started playing and how much I just love watching great goaltending, I've
Yeah.
literally watched all 6 of his games that he's played in because of how like he just is. He's positioned well. When he's not positioned well, somehow he makes those acrobatic where you're just like, I have no idea how in God's name he got his stick on that or got his edge of his skate on that. Like that one save he made, I can't remember what game it is, but the guy came around the net. He just stuck his skate out. It was like one of those old school off of the edge of the skate blade saves when he got his leg back over. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know if some of the like Vezina candidates would have like that. Like I don't like he just reacted so quick. I'm like, I don't know how that happened. Like first of all, he's going to be a speaking of the Calder. he might be the Blackwood of this year if he keeps doing his
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
he's doing because
yeah,
Black he's
yeah,
not gonna. It's hard for a goalie to win the Calder, but he could be in fifth or in the top five, just
yeah.
like
At least in the
McKenzie was
discussion.
doing his
Uh,
thing.
Yeah, at least in the discussion. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'll tell you what, though. I think it's. I don't know, man. We really had a lot of questions about Chicago's goaltending going into this season, and now because they had a lot of aging guys on the team and everything like that. But now with this goaltender in here, now it's Pearlo is right. They look like hey, they look. Yeah, yeah, we're rebuilding. We're gonna bring in this goaltender, but they got Kane to buy back in, right? They got
Yeah.
Duncan Keith
The
back
funny
in,
thing
right?
is, he's messing up the rebuilding process though, because they're tied with Dallas with 9 points right now because
Yeah.
of how good Kevin Lankin is playing. So, like, the management's probably going, "I love how well you're playing, but we would enjoy losing a little bit more so we could get the draft picks to rebuild."
Can you lose another game or two? Yeah, no, no,
That's
no.
all right. They got Subban and Delia there to put in to get them back, down again to where they need to be. I think that you'll still see the Subban. Subban, by the way, the game before that,
Yeah.
I had I had an over on that game, and Subban played like Carey Price for one game. I had never seen Subban play a game like that in his life. He stopped more shots in that game than he probably did all year last year. It was ridiculous, but uh,
Do you know what's really sad about
Subban's
that
like,
whole
"Oh,
thing?
Pirlo's betting against me. I really got to screw him over tonight." Let me
no,
just.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, because you're already carving out time to watch Chicago games. What's the matter with you?
yeah,
Right? Okay. So, look,
I
I
watched
think
part of that one. Yeah.
I think that the only thing that Subban is getting, the only reason why he's getting any kind of time or anything is because of his last name. To be honest with you,
yeah.
everywhere he's been, he's not been the man. Everywhere he's
Jordan.
been, he's not been able to answer the bell. Everywhere he's been to so many different teams and so many different places now. And let's face it, he's just not that good.
Well, yeah, and it might be his name,
Jordan
but you
didn't
know
get any
what? If
time.
he looks like he should be good, and that's the problem. It's like I like what Don Cherry said one time about his goaltender in Colorado, and I forget what his name was, and he said that he would be an excellent goaltender. He's great in every way if he could just stop pucks. So that Subban
Well,
kind,
kind of, like if you're a goaltender,
yeah.
that should
Pretty.
be like number
That's a pretty
one on the
damning.
Yeah,
list.
he said he's a great guy. He's a great leader in the room. He's wonderful in practice. Tries hard every game. If he could just stop pucks, he'd be a great goaltender. But that was
Trying to wonder who that's about. I'm just trying to think who would have been on Colorado during.
it'll come to me. It was a
Well, it wasn't Wall, that's for
No,
sure.
no, no.
it'll come to
No,
me.
And
It
it
was
wasn't Varlamov, that's
you
for
got to remember
sure.
it was way back in the day when it was
no, that
when it
was
was
way
the
back. That was.
Rockies. But I
Yeah.
always forget his name, and I feel for the guy because it's a popular story here in Canada, and the guy it gets told all the time. Uh,
Okay.
but
I like
anyways,
that though, man. We might have to use that somewhere,
the other big
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's great at everything. Yeah, if he could just stop pucks, he'd be a great
yeah
goalie.
the other big story that I guess you brought up already, and we should talk about on our way out here, is first of all, I'd like to say the Hurricanes are like you mentioned, they are looking like Brendamore's got them playing unbelievable hockey. What I love about the Hurricanes is that they're not playing like an Islanders style boring or Columbus or something like that.
No, they're
They're
attacking.
they're attacking but playing fantastic defense and the anticipation by each man. They're anticipating like the New York Islanders but playing aggressive like the Colorado Avalanche. It's a pretty wicked thing to see. Like they are really playing well. And Mrazek's putting up good numbers already this year. Amazing. But I wanted to talk about the amazing story. It is an amazing story. There were so many great things this weekend that you brought up the Washington Boston situation where they have a terrible situation that happens with their Russian players making a big mistake with COVID protocols or whatever. And Ovechkin, Samsonov, uh, Orlov, and Kuznetsov, all are out, and they don't stop winning. Like this, we were talking about how's Laviolette going to be in Washington. Well, is there any question now?
Yeah, I would say so. Not. I mean, they're still. I mean, it's amazing how Nicholas Backstrom. I talked about this on our Overtime Heroics hockey podcast for anyone that wants to listen to another.
Well, Laviolette and what he's doing in Washington.
So that could be a mini blessing in disguise for them to have Vanacek really be hitting it in high gear, and then you have Samsonov coming back, and then you kind of have two guys that Labby trusts and can rely on. Because after his first couple games, when he looked shaky on a couple plays but good overall, he hasn't really had those shaky plays anymore. So it seems like Vanacek is now zoned in and actually looks pretty steady out there.
Hey, I'm back.
Steady V.
You're back. CL said the mic's out or something like that. CL asked about, yeah, I think it's going to be effortless, but we talked about it beforehand about Laviolette's reason why I picked Washington to win this East. He's just such an amazing coach with 1 or 2 years. Like you give him a year with a team like this, I would not be surprised. Washington's my early team to win the cup. I really think this team has it with Laviolette to win the cup. And that's why I wanted
And
to
now
bring that
two
up.
good goalies, it seems. Two good young goalies now that Vanacek's come in. And after the first couple, like I said, of having a couple positioning issues, he seems pretty zoned in now and is not having to recover for positioning issues at all. So,
Yeah. Ron, you know a lot about Lavi and what he did in Philadelphia there. You're back, are you?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All right, cool.
Uh,
Yeah, man. I tell you what. I think that Laviolette coming to Washington was the perfect thing for them because they've got a good um, veteran presence there with Ovechkin, with Oshie, and with a lot of guys that they have there. They, I, we all talked about how the coaching staff was not the best for them last year and was not able to maximize the talent that they had on the team. I think that Laviolette has the system that's perfect for the types of players that Washington has right now, especially Ovechkin and Oshie and their goaltending and things of that nature. I just think that Laviolette was the perfect solution to bring in for Washington. And I tell you what, I have them maybe not being as high finishing as high as you have them there, Perlo, but I definitely have them as part of the core four group of teams that are going to finish in the top in the East.
yeah. Yeah, I had them at the top, but seeing what they're doing now, I'm even more bullish than ever. Um,
It's been impressive what they've been able to do, especially with Ovechkin being out and Semyon being out and Kuznetsov being out with the COVID. You know what I mean? Or the
yeah,
players that they had out for COVID.
Oh,
You know
it's
what I mean? And
incredible.
they were still able to win.
It was almost effort, like it was almost seamless. Like it didn't even seem like there was a really problem, which
I mean,
shows,
Ovechkin
Well,
is
yeah,
out. He's the
yeah.
number
exactly.
one
I
guy.
think it's also we talked about a veteran like a Boychuk who wasn't the same of what he used to be, but just having that veteran presence that's been there, done that on your defense, and how much of an impact that makes. Well, when you have a future Hall of Famer, one of the best defensemen of our
Chara, yeah,
generation, Zdeno Chara,
yeah.
on your
That
defense
helps.
1 year, that's going to make a pretty big difference in helping your young defensemen have a lot more confidence in their game when you have Zdeno Chara talking them up and saying, "Dude, just play your game. You're a good defenseman. Get your butt out of like your head out of your butt and play your game." That's why I
Great
think you
point.
see some guys that have kind of struggled and haven't been themselves in the last couple of seasons, kind of coming back to being themselves. Like for example, a guy that's doing really well this year after doing nothing last year for Pittsburgh is Justin Schultz. All of a sudden, Justin Schultz is like, "Hey guys, I'm back to like being what I was the first year of my career," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, or better." Like he's doing better than he did even in the first couple of years of his career. Right now, he has, I want to say, 9 points in 8 games, and he's a +9.
Yeah,
Justin Schultz has never
but
been
he's been
close.
injured as well the last couple days, so they've
Yeah,
been going without him even and
that's
still
true.
winning.
Yeah, they've still been
So
winning without the
I
one of.
wanted to ask, I wanted to answer some questions here. CL says, "Do you think Vertanen is getting dealt?" I mean, Vertanen is sort of in the same place as D'Angelo. Maybe you want to trade them both for each other and see if either team can straighten both guys out because Vertanen's had maturity issues as well. I think they're trying to deal him, but I'm just not sure there's anybody out there that really wants to take a chance on the kid yet. But to answer your question, I think at the deadline somebody might give him a chance, or but they're not going to get much for him. They're just hoping that he grows up and starts hitting the gym.
I could see the
Uh,
Kings also doing that, just to add in another guy if they're competitive, because there's some offense they could add another bottom six guy into the realm that you have good bottom six play, but you have inconsistencies in some aspects too. So it
Yeah,
would
yeah.
Bertanen's play when he's has his head on straight, and I think McClellan and the Kings system could be helpful with that. Would be beneficial for LA, I think, especially because if he has his head on straight, he's one of those like gritty players you kind of want to.
Yeah, 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 definitely the kind of
well,
player you
he's
want to have on
supposed
the
to
ice.
be, but unfortunately, in order to be gritty, you have to be able to keep the wind in your for more than a couple seconds on the ice. He comes off the ice, he looks like he's dying. The guy is completely out of shape. So
That's why I think LA would be good for him too. They've been good with guys that have to kind of
yeah, like
structure.
they were
So,
doing pretty good with Athanasiou
yep.
there. I don't know what it is in LA there, but they seem to have created a culture that everybody buys in, and that's fantastic. Like
Well,
they're
you're
really
also
doing a
in
good job.
Los Angeles. That helps.
Yeah, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
something about what they're doing there.
Oh, we
Rob
definitely
Blake,
know there's something in the water there,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
yeah, I'm not sure that's the healthiest thing in the world. That's going to turn your life around though. But uh, NHL news reports thoughts on Mrazek being out. Um, I think I always thought Carolina. We were saying this in the playoffs, weren't we? Steele, that we
Yeah.
thought that Carolina played better with Reimer in net most of the time, right?
Yeah, Mrazek is very streaky, and we all kind of saw that last year. And it's kind of been that way for Carolina so far this year. Where as he goes is how they go. If he's not playing really well, then Carolina doesn't do very well. You know what I mean? The last couple of games, he's played really well, and he's looked really good, and he was able to stop the pucks, and they played really well, and they won. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's going to be the long-term solution there in Carolina, but I think that as long as they can minimize his inconsistencies, I think that he's going to probably work out there at least for this year. Maybe look, here's a thing that I wanted to touch on about everything that we're talking about. The trade deadline is going to come, and it's going to be right before the end of the season instead of in the middle, like it normally is, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that the trade deadline is going to mean or going to be a lot of different. I Because you got teams right now who can't move players because they're up against the cap. You know what I mean? And the teams that need players that the teams that need players don't have cap space. The teams that don't need players have all the cap space. You know what I mean? And it's like it I just think
Yeah.
that all this movement and everything is not really going to happen until at least
Yeah.
after this year.
For me, I have a little bit of a different take on it because Mrazek has got off to one of his best career starts.
Yeah.
And so has Reimer. So both of those two have been two of the best, statistically, one of the best tandems in hockey to start the season. Nedeljkovic has some promise. I've seen some of his play in the A. He looks solid. I would say he's not fully ready yet, but I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah,
he's in
yeah.
the realm of like a Stuart Skinner by any stretch of the imagination. Like I think he's more closer to. I'm trying to think like who to compare him to that kind of got caught up a little bit early. Probably more of like how Ottinger got forced last year, but he doesn't have the potential of Ottinger. Like he could hold his own, but he's not going to
Okay.
be great. Like I don't think he's going to be a guy that looks out of position like that one play yesterday where Stuart Skinner was all the way over here and the
Yeah.
puck came all the way over here and all the guy had to do was tap it at the net.
Yeah.
Like I think he will be more in tuned than that, but he still has a little bit of seasoning to do. But I think he probably could play like a backup level, but he won't be a 1B like these two have both been playing like 1As honestly to start with. That's kind of how Carolina does it. They have a 1A. Whoever emerges as a 1A, then they have a 1B.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
yeah.
think Delkovich is a 1B. I think he's more of a straight backup, more like, but he will perform to a 1B sooner than I think. But we'll have to see because he might get depending how long Pete's out, he might get a cup of coffee, a couple games that he gets put into here. So
Yeah, really.
I think while watching, I watched almost all the Carolina games, and Carolina is playing in playing system right now that just about make any goaltender look good. It's just been fantastic. The other one, okay, another one from Hockey News Reports. I like this question, and so what team do you think that is hot now will unfortunately not make the playoffs? And off the top of my head, I'm not thinking
uh,
Minnesota maybe.
maybe that would be the Kings would probably switch with them if they didn't make it. Would
Well,
be
I have
my
the
guess.
I'm saying that because I had the Kings to make it, so I have to say
Yeah.
that.
Okay, maybe New Jersey. I mean, New
Oh,
Jersey
New
didn't have
Jersey,
that.
yeah, New Jersey's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I think New Jersey has come out to a really hot start, but I
Also,
just don't.
though.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
they played really well, but I just don't think that they're gonna. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't think they're
Another
gonna
team.
hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say for me, another team, obviously, since we already brought them up and they're still in the fighting playoff race, they might have not got off to the hottest start, but I would say because they're still technically tied for a playoff spot right now, Chicago's eventually going to fall off. They're not going to
Yeah,
stay competing
I agree.
right behind the Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning, because if they do, good for them. But I don't, and if they do, then Kevin Lankinen might win the damn Vezina, let
Oh yeah,
alone the let
yeah,
alone the
really.
Calder Trophy at that point,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
he's going to be the main reason they did that, and then he's going to have to win the Calder Trophy. Because if you win the Vezina as a rookie, you better win the Calder Trophy. Otherwise, there's some problem with logic. So,
Yeah, and then something that needs to be talked about, and he'll get one eventually. I think that we should talk about is Kuliton, the coach of Chicago.
of
That
course,
guy is absolutely unbelievable. What a amazing! He'll definitely get at least one Jack Adams award in his career, I imagine, if they
the
can
future, yeah,
get
hmm
through
agreed.
in the future. Yeah, he's a great coach.
He seems like the new wizard of the league, so to speak. That young guy you want to find that's like the new whiz kid. Like he
Yeah,
just knows everything and somehow manages analytics perfectly with
yeah,
actual
Well,
physical play. Some
Exactly.
people were worried about him being too overly analytical at first. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
Well, the fact that
Yeah.
they came right out and said that they were rebuilding in Chicago, and the fact that he has them winning games, you
Yeah,
know what
that
I
Yeah.
mean?
show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even they've
He,
even won a couple. They even won games on the goaltending. The one game they won, I think they what are they like 5 goals or something, and it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
You
like
know.
they've been fighting and competing. He definitely probably has a jack in his future. Also, NHL Hockey News Report asked another great question, but he's a Habs fan, so he said the Habs are my favorite team. So dot dot dot, basically meaning obviously I'm going to pick Price and Allen.
I'll go Steel. I'll go last on this one. Steel. Who do you think's the best goaltender?
Oh, I do like that. That's a pretty good combo up there. Um, the guys in Tampa Bay, I like that. Uh, uh, and I really, I'm very impressed so far with what they've been doing in Dallas. I like that. Yeah,
When Bishop's in and Kudobin, that's quite the combo.
yeah, but not Bishop. It's that Oleg or whatever.
Ortmeyer.
Ottinger.
Ottinger,
Ottinger.
yeah.
Ottinger. Why do I call him
I
Ortmeyer? I
like
don't know.
those two guys there. I like that combo too. I'm trying not to be a homer. You know what I mean? Because I think that Brian Elliott has played way
Oh
to
yeah.
where he's supposed to be playing, and I think that Carter Hart has played really, really well. It's just that the team hasn't played in front of him. Now they have lately the
Well, he
last
was a
five
homer, so
games.
you could be a homer. He said, "I'm a Habs fan,"
But
Yeah, but
so.
he
I like
also
that. I like that combination, though. I like that combination of Price and Allen up there, and I think so far that's been, you know, one of the better,
Yeah,
one of the better tandems.
for me, on paper, it hasn't been one of the best yet. I just think physically, it's one of the best. One of the guys has been one of the best to start the season. Over time, Vegas is going to come out to be one of the best goalie tandems because you have Rob Leonard, you have Fleury. Fleury started the season ridiculous again. Leonard has a good goals against now. It went down to I think a 2.9 something, but his
Yeah,
save percentage
that'll
is
come
still
back around.
in
Yeah,
high in the high 800s. So he'll start bringing that back up where I think that's a team for me just because of looking at the two guys you have. I have full confidence in Rob Leonard. I just think first of all, he's not always the quickest starter. And there's no problem with that, especially when you have Marc Andre Fleury. You have a guy that can hold you over until he really does hit the ground running. Because Rob Leonard has really never been a goalie that comes in and just lights the world on fire the first 5 games of the season. Normally, he's one of those guys that's got to get into his if you will, Las Vegas groove, and then
yeah.
he's
There you go. There.
and he's
Okay. All right. I will buy Vegas Groove.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm with you.
I'm
I like
my
that. I
back
like
in the
those deals.
Vegas groove instead of back in the New York groove.
Yeah. Right.
yeah. That would have been that was up there. I got it kind of as a tie, but since you already picked one of them, I'm gonna take the other one, and I think it's Kemper and Ranta in Arizona. Uh, the Kemper's both of those guys just consistently. The only problem is Ranta can't stay healthy. If he could stay healthy though, I like that combination. Probably best. Laner and Flurry, Kemper. It's
I
like a
like that.
1A, 1B. I don't think anybody else really comes close. I do, Price and Allen. I mean, are you talking about now or like over time or whatever? But I'd say Kemper and then you could always say Gibson and whoever is the other goaltender. Gibson's just insane.
Yeah,
I still think
Yeah. There
Gibson's the
you
best
go.
goaltender in the NHL.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Because usually, even if, especially since they have that good young kid that they've been trying to trade because they don't need him, they have another good young goalie in Dostal that they just don't need.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they're like, yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of
And
want
then
to
the
trade
the
this
tandem
guy.
down in Florida because it's Bob and whoever.
Yeah, if Bob could stop pucks
If
again.
Bob actually could stop stinking,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Right.
then
Right.
you would have because right now
That's
Dredger's
why I had to say that.
outplaying
I'm
Bob.
sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I had to cut
Yeah,
that. I'm
Bob and
sorry.
whoever. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had to do that.
Besides that, I'd run down here. Um, an underrated one would be Pedersen and Quick.
yeah.
Peterson and
Yeah.
Quick.
Or what
Quick
about
been doing good again
yeah,
this year.
yeah, yeah.
Which I called that too, by the way. So
There you go.
I'll take credit for that. I called that
Yeah.
in the office.
Sorry, I
in
have
an
the
or-
co-host in the background right now, so
Co-host, yeah.
Because I said Pedersen should take the range a little bit more as the youngster, but I think Quick is going to have a bounce back season as
You
the.
did say that, yeah. Well,
yeah,
we
you
can't
did.
forget. I know why we forget this because we don't want to remember them. But the Bruins have a pretty good tandem there too.
Oh yeah,
Tuukka
Tuukka.
Rask and Halak, yeah, boy, they have
Yeah,
been really good so far this year.
Yeah.
and last year,
We also got a question from I think it was Hockey Rumors again about Jeff Petrie and do we think he can win a Norris?
Jeff Petrie, can he win? No, I don't think he'll ever be that level. If there is
I just said maybe
if there
because I
was
didn't
the
think
most
Giordano would ever win a Norris, and he ended up having a great season, one in his mid-30s. I always thought Giordano was right on the teeter, but
well,
I
you
never.
kind of have to be the best defenseman on your team at least to win a Norris. And Weber's the best defenseman on their team. So I don't.
That's going to be tough sledding on that one.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
no, I don't
the
think he
reason
could
I'll
win.
go with maybe is I didn't think Giordano was going to be the best defense
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
when
yeah.
he came
He
in,
could
and then
go out of his head one game or one C. Like he's up
Right.
32, 33 now. But I love Petrie. If there was a most underrated player of the year award, he probably would have won at least one this year. One in his
Yeah,
career.
there you go. There you go. All right.
Well,
Sounds
boys and
good.
girls, I guess you guys have a life to do outside of this or something.
Well, shoveling.
Shoveling.
Well, not really shoveling. It's going to be hopping on the John Deere.
Yeah, well, that's good that you have that. Do you have a big driveway going there? I imagine too.
Uh,
us, yeah, ours is a hill, so it's a little bit easier since you can kind of just use the power of gravity to help you
yeah,
out.
I have the same issue too. Mine kind of slopes down a little bit too. So as long as I get a good head of steam rolling, man, it just goes down easy.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with the thing because you don't want that thing to freaking tip as you're going down.
Yeah, oh no, no. I only go down north and south, man. I don't go east and west.
Uh, the hockey news report said that with the hot start this year, Petrie could win, could feasibly win the Norris. Let me just say that if Petrie were to win the Norris, I would freaking love it. I would
Yeah,
love
There you
it.
same.
If
go.
Petrie was in Edmonton, I absolutely despise that trade. I wanted to rip the freaking oil sign
I'm
right
not
off
an
my
Oilers
jerseys.
fan. I
I,
thought
I
that was
hated that trade, and yeah, I would love it. I would love it. That would
Yeah,
be
there you
fantastic, but I
go.
just don't see
Petrie's
it
the
happening.
right-handed, the lefty version, and the most
Yeah,
underrated righty is Petrie.
yeah, there you go.
That's
That's a
usually
good comparison.
the way I look at that. The
Yeah,
most
that's a good
underrated
comparison.
lefty is usually Jake Muzzin, because now that Slavin got recognition, I wouldn't say it's Slavin anymore. And then Jeff Petrie is the right-hander.
I'll tell you a little story about snow shoveling. That on our way out here, this one had me laughing to myself and kind of. Well, I'll just tell you the story. I don't get to have I don't do naps very often, but I wasn't feeling very well there, I guess, or whatever. Just was really tired, and I decided to go down for a nap. And as soon as I started going for a nap, I live in a condo, and they shovel they do the blower thing and everything all over the
Oh yeah.
sidewalks, and I was angry as heck about because I couldn't have my nap. And then I just stopped for a second and went, did I just get mad at people shoveling my snow outside so I couldn't have a nap? That is
Oh man.
what? Where? If this is not first world problems, I don't know what. I could have a nap at any time of the.
Excuse me.
I don't have to
Stop shoveling
shovel
my
snow.
hey, you
Oh
like
God.
go outside, sir,
Yeah.
sir, sir.
Yeah,
Stop.
sir, I'm gonna go. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go down into my underground parking, get in my car, and go out there and tell those guys.
Now,
Oh,
okay, now
so
here's one
anyways,
for you. Now here's one for you. Okay.
yeah,
So used to live in an apartment complex, and when it would snow, they would come and knock on your door right? So that you could move your car and then they would be able to plow the parking lot, right? Well, the problem is that they would come knock on your door at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
Uh, Dude, if you want to plow the driveway, why don't you knock on the door when people get up in the morning instead of 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, instead of rousting them out of bed?
oh,
Because,
you're not allowed to do that in Edmonton.
well, but that's what I'm talking about.
I
Like, what
don't
are you
think you're really
doing?
supposed to do it here either. It's just nobody usually reports it, so
Okay, well, there you
that's
go.
more what it is. Yeah, I
That's
don't
what we
think
had
it's really
happen.
supposed to because most people that shovel want to start early because you don't want to go out and get paid for shoveling at 10 in the morning because you'll be out there at 10 o'clock at night. Where if you go at like 5, you're going to be waking some people up, but that's usually when most people start. Like I know friends that get paid for shovel. Usually you start pretty early and you just have to
Yeah.
uh where you
Well,
just have to
we
basically
used to. I
say,
used to do it for a living here. We used to do roof snow removal too. But here, if somebody calls you and you get nailed for it, it's $1,000 fine. So people don't do it. Yeah, it's a huge
Well,
fine.
now I don't have to worry about it now. I just hop on my John Deere now and make sure there's gas and make sure it starts.
There you go. Anyways, this has been freaking awesome, guys. Thank you very much for taking the time to come in here and banter about hockey. We'll be doing this again tomorrow afternoon between, oh, I guess, yeah, Pearlo time between 2 and 4-ish Eastern.
Okay, so
yeah,
yeah, there you
ish.
go. 2 Eastern is
2
Pearlo time,
Eastern.
not 12 Eastern.
I told,
Yeah.
yeah, I told,
He said, yeah, 12 Eastern. All right. I showed up. I was ready to go. 12 o'clock. Right?
He's done that to me before too. You
Yeah,
did that.
like, wait a minute. What do you mean we're not going?
Yeah, well, I would text you to be like, "Oh no, we're not. I'm not even home. We're going in 2 hours." And I'll be like, "What
Yeah,
do you mean?
right.
Oh, you said like."
okay,
That's
thanks
funny.
That's all
everybody
right,
for
man. We
coming
got it.
out and watching this fine programming. Thanks for coming in. That's our full 42. This was the Pearl of Wisdom Show. Glad Go over to SteelFlyers.com, www.steelflyers.com, all sports network, the finest network in the land. Have a great day, everybody. Lots of love to
Sorry about that, guys, man. I just like my internet